Okay, so if we go into the stream here, okay, just click on reverse osmosis literacy activity. Okay, and then open it up, because the stuff you need to read is part of the file. All right, so what you'll see first is actually the 4 questions. Now, the big focus of our school division here over the last few years has been on increasing literacy. Okay, and probably a lot of you are going, yeah, but I know how to read. Yeah, you do. Okay, but there's always little skills that help us to become better readers, okay, more effective readers, okay, and that eliminate our desire to write like we are texting our friend. LOL should never appear in a lab report. Yeah, okay, little things like that, okay, that's not real language, yeah. So, one of the things here, guys, in terms of literacy skills, and this is going to be really important for school, high school, if you go into college afterwards, okay, is knowing what am I reading this for? And the answer is not because Coderre is making me. Yeah, I am, but okay, beyond that, right? Because that could be the answer for basically anything you do in school. Why are you reading this? Because I have to. Okay, yes, you have to. But what in that are you looking for? That's what you want to do. You always want to start out before you read something knowing what you should be looking for as you read it, because then you know what things are really important. Okay, how many people highlight when they read their notes? Okay, a few people do. Okay, I was always a really big highlighter. Okay, and that was because I was not good at it. By the time I got done reading a chapter, pretty much everything was highlighted. Okay, and I had to go over it a second time to decide what was really important. I had like 4 highlighters. Okay, first time I go through, everything was yellow. I'm be like, crap, I got to read that again. Okay, go through the second time and highlight over that with green. So I had, you know, it was just a mess. Okay, by the time I got done, I couldn't even remember what color was the really important stuff anymore. Okay, but that's because I just started reading, and I didn't, you know, like read little things that could give me cues as to what in that section I was going to read was going to be the important stuff. All right, now. At the beginning of each one of our lessons, do I have a list of key points usually? Okay, are those the things that we should look for when we read through that lesson? Absolutely, that's why I put them there. Okay, and if you know you're going to have to be answering some questions about a particular piece that you're going to read, should you read the questions first? Yeah, okay, you definitely should. And guys, this is something that comes up on the diploma exams all the time. Okay, we tell kids now, if you see a question that starts out, and a lot of them start out like this, read this passage and answer questions 25, 26, 27, 28. That's the wrong order. Okay? You should read questions 25, 26, 27, and 28, and then read the passage. Right? That way you know what in that passage is important. Because in the last few years, there have been sections of the diploma exam for physics, believe it or not, that was a page and a half of reading to answer 3 questions. Okay? Now you're probably thinking, but Coderre, you said physics was like, there was math in it. Yeah, you know what? The last diploma exam had the least amount of math I've ever seen. It had less math than one of my physics unit exams. Right? It was all about reading and understanding what you had read. All right? It was a reading comp diploma exam about physics. Okay? That's why we're doing this stuff now more in science, is so that you understand, how do I read a piece and get what I need to out of it? Does that sort of make sense? Okay, so that's what we're going to focus on. So the questions that we're going to be reading, or the questions we're going to be answering, sorry, are about reverse osmosis, okay, and cellular transport. How many people have heard of reverse osmosis, or RO, before? Okay, probably a lot of you got RO water at home, or you drink it out of the bottle. Okay, RO is a process by which water can be cleaned. Okay, so some of the questions that we want to look for here: compare and contrast membranes used in reverse osmosis with a cell membrane. How are they similar? How are they different? Right? So if I was setting myself up for success here, okay, wanting to do this, I would probably have another sheet of paper beside me when I was going to read this stuff. Okay? And what I would write on it right now would be membranes, similarities. Okay? That way I remember, okay, when I'm reading this, anytime I see the word membranes, I probably want to stop and slow down and pay more attention to what it's saying. All right? Second thing, what provides the force needed to move water across the membrane in both osmosis and reverse osmosis? Okay, so I would probably write down something like pushing through the membrane. What pushes through the membrane, or something along those lines. Now, Do we already know from our background knowledge what causes water to move in real osmosis? Okay? Real osmosis happens because there's a difference in what? Sort of state, but more that there's more what on one side of the membrane than the other? Starts with S. Salt, right? Okay, there's more solutes. Okay, we say salt, but it's really solutes on one side of the membrane than the other, and that creates just a passive force, okay, that pulls that water across. So we kind of already know some of the background for this, but what we probably want to pay attention to is the stuff we don't know. What pushes or pulls water through the reverse osmosis membrane? Okay, now, do you suppose reverse osmosis is passive or active? If osmosis is passive, reverse osmosis is probably not. Would you agree? Since it's the reverse, right? In real osmosis, you're creating a balance, which means you have the same amount of salt on both sides. If reverse osmosis is being used to clean water, I probably don't want any salt on one side, right? Is what I'm thinking anyway. Okay, number 3. In a short paragraph, explain and justify if you think using reverse osmosis would be an acceptable way to conserve water in a place like Okotoks, where water conservation is important. Okay, now, conserve is underlined. Okay, so it's not asking whether you think it'd be a good way to clean the water. It's asking whether you think it would save water. Okay, so we should probably write that down. Does reverse osmosis save water? Okay, that's something else that we need to be aware of, looking for when we read through this article. Okay, and the last question talks about, in this article, reverse osmosis was, or it was mentioned that reverse osmosis was used to ensure impurities were removed from certain products like wine and syrup. Okay, can you think of any reasons why purists, what's a purist? Okay, what's the root of the word purist? Pure. Okay, so a purist is someone who wants things done kind of the way they've always been done, in the purest sense. Okay, everyone follow me there? Okay, so a purist, why would a purist, someone who wants something done kind of the old-fashioned way, might disagree with the use of this process in the making of these products? So reverse osmosis is used to clean stuff. If you run wine or syrup, or maybe the precursors for that, through a membrane, is it going to catch stuff? Okay, some of that stuff, is it maybe desirable to some people to have that actually in the end product? Okay, it's like kind of the, do you like pulp in your orange juice or no pulp in your orange juice? Okay, right? Orange juice naturally comes with pulp. A purist would probably want orange juice with pulp in it. Okay, now if you purify and do reverse osmosis on maple syrup, maybe it doesn't have all the same stuff it normally had. Same with wine. Maybe the grape juice is filtered first, okay, before it's fermented or something like that. All right, everybody follow me there? Okay, so what we should probably look for then is anything where wine and syrup is mentioned, and again, we're going to slow down and make note of anything we see there about purity, okay, or changing. Right? Those are the keys for that question. So you guys follow the technique we're kind of practicing and working on here? Okay. So underneath that, okay, underneath these rubrics here, which is what I'm going to use to mark the answers for your 4 questions, is the article. Okay, I've highlighted some words in the article, okay, and what we'll do is just kind of talk about them before you get started. While you're reading this, if there are other words that you don't understand, okay, just make a list. We call that a word wall. I don't call it that. That's what English calls it, apparently. Okay, so just write down the words you don't understand, because there's probably going to be a few more, and we're going to go through them when we're done, because they might affect your ability to answer the questions if you don't know what they mean. Okay. We had this really cool demo about this on Friday. Okay, to be a proficient reader, you're expected to read at 97% efficiency. Okay, what that means is that you only miss 3 words out of every 100. Okay, now on Friday we watched the band play in the band room. Okay, and Mr. Kennedy asked us, would you be happy if everyone in your class had 95%? Now, what teacher is not going to go, hell yeah, right? We'd all say that'd be wonderful if everyone in my class had 95%. He said, okay, I'm going to have the band play 90 at 95%, which means they're going to play 20 notes and every kid is going to miss one. How do you suppose that sounded? It sounded freaking awful, okay? Like, it was absolutely painful to listen to. And each kid made one mistake out of 20 notes. Okay? If we miss 3 words out of every 100, is that affecting our ability sometimes to understand what we were reading? Yeah, okay? So that's kind of why we're working on this as well. Okay? All right. So reverse osmosis is one of the processes that makes desalinization. Anyone know what desalinization means? Anyone wear contacts? Okay? What's in the contact solution? What do they call that? Is it called saline solution? What's in it? Salts. Okay? All kinds of ionic compounds and stuff are in your saline solution. Seawater is saline. Okay? Anything with salts in it is saline. So if I'm desalinating, that means I'm doing what? I'm getting rid of it, right? Okay. The word unprecedented. If something is unprecedented, what does that mean? Let's say this. This level of proficiency is unprecedented. What am I meaning when I say that? It's good and it never happened before. Okay? It's unprecedented. There's no precedent. Nothing has preceded it. Okay? So it's completely unexpected, right? Torrential flooding, that one before 2013, probably people didn't know, but now around here we kind of know what torrential flooding is. More of a cultural thing, okay, as opposed to a literacy thing. Okay? Semi-permeable. What's the prefix semi mean? No, it doesn't mean a truck. Yeah, selectively, some stuff gets it, some stuff doesn't. Okay, it means not always. A semicircle is half of a circle. Okay, so it's not everything. That's what semi means, not everything. Semi-permeable. Permeable means to go through. So, not everything goes through this membrane. Okay, semi-permeable. Right with that. Okay, osmotic pressure. Have we talked about osmotic pressure already? Actually, we have. We talked about it on Friday. It's how a plant moves water. Right? The osmotic pulling force that draws water up is osmotic pressure. Okay? Osmotic pressure is that difference in salts that makes water move across the membrane. Okay? That's what osmotic pressure is. Okay. Concentrate. And we don't mean the mental kind. Because that's 2 different meanings of the same word. Was that a synonym? I don't remember. It's English. Okay? If something is concentrated, what does that mean? Exactly, it's stronger. Concentrate is like the strength. Okay? If something is lower concentrate, that means it has less of that stuff in it. So if you were making orange juice from like the frozen can kind of stuff, okay? If you put, let's say, 6 cups of water in there instead of 4, you have a lower concentrate than you were supposed to. All right? Bars of pressure, okay? Bars is a unit that we use to measure barometric pressure. All right, so a bar is just a unit. Okay? And if you take French, you know what this word is? Voila. Okay, means there it is, or there you have it. Okay, that's what voila means. Okay, skeletal fluorosis. Skeletal would be referring to bones. Fluorosis. Did we talk about anything that sounded like that maybe in the last unit? Fluorine, yeah, skeletal fluorosis has to do with the movement of ions, okay, and weakening of your skeletal frame. Okay, calcium fluoride, okay, is one of the things that's necessary for proper bone structure. All right. Okay, impediment. If you impede something, are you helping it or hurting it? Okay, maybe you've heard it in this context. This person has a speech impediment. What does it mean? It means something is hindering their ability to speak. Okay, so an impediment is anything that slows down or hinders a process. Okay, you can actually get a ticket for impeding traffic. That is driving too slow. Yeah. Okay, if you actually are driving too slow and you are a danger to all on the road, you can actually get a ticket for impeding. Okay, I don't think I've ever seen one given out, but okay. WHO and UNICEF, okay? These are two organizations, all right? They stand for World Health Organization, okay? And UNICEF stands for United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund. Okay? So it's money that goes to impoverished children, helps get clean water, things like that. Okay? All right. I think that's all of it, right? Yeah. Okay, so I want you to read through that article, okay? You probably will want to underline some of the stuff that we talked about there that we said we were going to look for, okay? And then answer those 4 questions. All right? You still have 35 minutes to get that done. Okay? It looks like a lot, but actually it goes pretty quick. Okay, so let's get to her, guys.